3, 2, 1, and we're live. Hey everybody, it's Ernie. Whoop. Gotta bring the microphone down here. Again, it's Ernie, Trader of Futures. How you doing? It is Monday, a start of a new week. How exciting. Yep, it is Monday. It is, what is it? It is the December 17th. Oh my God, I can't believe how fast this month is going by. And it is the 7th day of 12 days of trading. That means that there is only 6 days left. Imagine that. 6 whole days until Christmas. I don't know why that's significant, but I just thought it was, and that's why I'm doing it. It's a countdown. Is something big going to happen on Christmas? Probably not. In this household, on Christmas Day, we do what all Jewish households do. We watch a movie and order out Chinese food. I'm not Jewish. My wife's Jewish. We brought up our kids that way. We celebrate Jewish holidays. I was married by a rabbi. Does that make me Jewish? I grew up Greek Orthodox. I think I more or less claim, though, that I follow more of a Buddhist philosophy. Some people might call that a Boo-Jew. So anyways, Asdirt saying, hey, I loved your last video, Hidden Cam. Don't try to hide, the stocks are crashing. Yeah, I guess I somehow had clicked yesterday I turned on the streaming, and it got me for about 4 or 5 minutes just sort of sitting there looking at its stuff. DIY guy's asking, how's the AI performing? Fantastic. I mean, I couldn't be happier for the AI. It is, as a matter of fact, today, last night's call, we just got another winner. And that was the Japanese yen. Let me see if I can bring that up. We have lots to talk about. We have to talk about Bitcoin, of course. We have to talk about pot stocks, of course. We have to talk about the AI. So in this upper right-hand corner here, let me bring the chart in view. The upper right-hand corner, actually all 3 of these trades are trades that were released last night. The upper right-hand corner is one that triggered, and that was the Japanese yen. And we said that the AI, the embodiment, had predicted that should the Japanese yen come at or about this blue line here, it would break out, and very likely, at least one standard deviation of the time, would make it all the way up to this purple line or magenta line. And that's exactly what it did. We took the trade. We exited the trade. Nice profit. Thank you, embodiment. If you're interested in the embodiment, the AI, just go to traderoffutures.com. We're having a special on it. And in fact, there's going to be more specials. But this is a very special special. The introductory training has been reduced dramatically for the Christmas season, our present to you. Let me bring the talking head back on. I also have a very personal, special thing happening, but I can't talk about it right now. I'm going to leave it as a surprise for later in the week. Anyways, if you want to get involved in the artificial intelligence setups, I want to tell you right now that since we have started the service in October, and since starting the support channel on our Discord, we have a private support channel there for all AI members. Every call has been a winner. I mean, look, you got to be realistic that can't go on forever. But that is a remarkable fact that every call so far in that service that has been called in that room has been a winner. So there's that. I don't know what else would entice you to join this service. It's $99 a month. We also have a quarterly and a yearly price. I really haven't been doing very much advertising on it, just mentioning it here once in a while on this show. That's about it. I haven't done any campaigns or affiliate things or any of that, any advertising, none of that. So far we have about 50 members. We just started it, like I said, in October, and it's going great. If you'd like to join, I was just thinking that it would grow organically. And then, when we get up to about 200 subscribers, just kind of, lay off on it and not really try to bring in more people. And that's probably the way it's going to work. And I will provide periodic niceties or specials, like the Christmas special, where the training. And I am going to announce there is going to be, if you do join the AI within this 12 days of trading special, or it's not even a special, it's just a thing. There will be a very special gift. But you can't say what the gift is. Damn. I don't want to tell people what the gift is. But it's good. It is good. It's a really good gift. I mean, besides the AI, it's friggin' phenomenal. But anyways, Japanese yen, another call. These other two are also calls that are setting up. And they may or may not trigger. About 30%, 30 to 35, 40% of the setups actually trigger. Of the ones that trigger, at least from a long-term perspective, 80% are, or more than 80% are profitable. Actually, so far since the service, like I said, 100% has been profitable. Going all the way back to the time when I was throwing the service out there on the Discord and on my YouTube, I'd say about 90% of the calls have been profitable. Something like that. So, and, not just profitable, but the returns on it have been quite remarkable too. So anyways, that's the AI. I called this episode The Big Idea because I do, at some point near the end of this stream, I'm going to talk about the big idea that all surrounds this AI. And this big idea is actually more than just encapsulated. It's more than just the AI. This is sort of an encapsulation of the philosophy that I've been trying to espouse for quite some time. And so we'll talk about that, the big idea. One of the big ideas that I have is that Bitcoin is definitely shortable. and there's been another minor pump on Bitcoin this morning. Happened all within about a 15-minute period. And we can take a look at that now, too. Got to go to the charts, away from the talking head. And here is the big bear flag that I had called, and almost reached the target that I had pointed to, this purple line at about 30.50. Looks like we got down to almost 3,100. So that looks like it's, I guess you could call that a winning prediction. If it doesn't reach, there's an idea right there. If it doesn't reach your target, but gets there about 75% of the way, is that a winner? That's what I want to know. Do you think that's a winning call? I would say yes. I would say that anything over 2/3 of your target or your expected move is probably a winning call. So I would call that a winning call. Now it got pumped up. Let's see, what's the total pump here? Started at about 32.39 and it reached up to 34.40. So that's 200 points. Now, 200 points relative to the current price of Bitcoin is kind of significant. I mean, 200 points is 200 points, and at least that was the very, very starting point where I might start considering that to be the beginning of a rally when it was around 6,000. But right now we're around 3,300. So if you were to scale that down, then I would say that, you know, that pump up is relatively significant. But it did get pumped right up. Look at the volume profile here. It got pumped right up to that volume profile level, that value node right there, that big value node, that there's been a lot of consolidation. So, you know, that's kind of interesting. And it stopped right there, which is like on the edge of the value node, right to the beginning of this big volume well. So that volume well provided some resistance. And again, that's sort of part and parcel of the volumetric analysis that I do. And I've often said that volumetric analysis, man, it is, I think, is without a doubt the most effective technical analysis methodology. I don't want to call it a strategy because it's certainly not a strategy. You could build strategies around that, I think. The other interesting thing that I find with volume profile is that when you start looking at all the AI calls, now the AI, it just looks at patterns and it recognizes patterns that we can't necessarily see, patterns that it sees over, you know, decades. And then when you look at the actual calls and the targets and things like that, it marries up very, very closely with the volume profile nodes, you know, value nodes and volume wells. So I find that pretty interesting. So there seems to be something there. You know, I don't know. You can't go and look at the data and then say, oh yeah, I understand exactly what the AI, the embodiment is doing, because it's just not possible. And that's because it is literally looking at millions of different combinations of patterns and chart patterns and volume patterns and all this other stuff, and stuff that it finds on its own, and all looking at it from a statistical point of view. It's kind of, it harkens back to, you know, I recommend certain books to read, especially the Nassim Taleb books. There's one, Fooled by Randomness, in that you can look at random data and you may be fooled into thinking that it's doing this or that, but then there are patterns that we can't necessarily see, or maybe we should understand better. And that's kind of like the embodiment. It sees things that we don't see. So anyways, Ernie, love you last. Okay, we get that one. How is the AA performing? I answered that one. Adam, short the shit out of Bitcoin pump. It to a dump. It boys. Yes, Adam. That's right. Short every friggin' rally until it hurts. That is still the primary strategy. That is still one of the big ideas here on this channel. Ernie, do you recommend Thinkorswim? But I'm in Australia. Is Interactive Broker a suitable alternative? Can you use Thinkorswim or TD Ameritrade in Australia? I think so. I think you can. I'm pretty sure you can. TOS in Australia. I don't even know if this is going to do it. No, that wasn't a good. That wasn't a good search. The Theosophical Order of Service in Australia. What is the Theosophical Order of Service? International. What I should have said is TD Ameritrade. Can you use TD Ameritrade in Australia? There's someone had asked that question. How is it possible to open an account in TD Ameritrade for non-U.S. citizens? Large online brokerage firms like TD Ameritrade are registered in many countries, but not all. I just did a Google search under U.S. stockbrokers in Nepal. It turns out TD Ameritrade will welcome you with open arms if you live in Nepal. But what about Australia? Do they have a list? I think it is because, man, I just remember. I thought I have some clients that had that were using TD Ameritrade or Thinkorswim in Australia. Well, anyways, you can look that up. I'm pretty sure that Interactive Broker does. Hey Ernie, happy Monday. So far, the S&P making me smile. I'm not sure why. What is the big idea? Asked Stav. Well, like I said, there are a number of big ideas. One of my big ideas is, short every friggin' rally. The other big idea that I have is definitely using volume profile as one of the premier technical analysis methodologies. I wouldn't even call it technical analysis. It's because the volume profile, in essence, is like showing you everything that you need to know about that particular asset. I mean, as long as you know the current price, I mean, you pretty much know everything that you need to know. I mean, you could, in fact, just trade directly from the volume profile. And there are some prop trading firms, that's exactly what they do. They trade almost exclusively from the volume profile. I mean, it tells you where support and resistance are from the volume wells. It tells you where supply and demand is from the volume nodes. It tells you where the market sees value. And from that, you can ascertain what is most likely to happen or occur with price, given if you know the bigger trend. All right, so I always say that. You got to know the bigger trend. If you know the bigger trend and apply that as kind of an overlay or a bias, then volume profile tells you pretty much everything that you need to know. So the other big idea is more generalized. It's more something that I've talked about a lot in something that I call the broker narrative. And I know that there are other people that have talked about this at great length. Some very, very popular people. And a lot of what I talk about comes from my own personal experience in dealing with brokers and in the financial world, both as a technologist and as a consultant, technology management consultant, helping them build their resources, their people, their teams, their processes, and right from the very beginning. I mean, I worked for Fidelity and Charles Schwab when they were first putting on the brokerage online brokerages for everybody to. I mean, that's where everybody started trading. And I was in on the meetings with the business discussing how they're going to actually make money and what services they were going to offer. And then, they would ask me, well, how do you implement these services, Ernie? So from there, it was very obvious what their intent was. Well, I mean, it's not just obvious. They overtly come out and say it. Their intent was to make money off commissions. A lot of people think that, the brokerage or a broker is there to help you make money, like as if they are some magical trader. Most brokers are the worst traders in the world. They know nothing about trading. What they do is they sell you their service. And their service is basically offering access to assets. And how do they make money? By offering you access to their assets. Well, by trading their assets. And in trading, you incur commissions. That is how they make money. They make money by you trading, creating transactions, and making commissions for them. Now, this brings us to what I think is a conflict of interest. And that conflict of interest is in, well, first of all, it's in their promotion of anything that has to do with their brokerage. Anything. And particularly I'm talking about any kind of training, educational materials, consulting, analysts, particularly analysts. All of that, in my view, is a conflict of interest because they don't do it, you might think that they're offering you these services as educational to help make you a better trader, to help make you money. No. All of those services are designed for one purpose only. One! And that is to get you to make as many transactions as possible. Now, how do they do that? They're not telling you how not to create transactions and how to stay in the market as long as you can and build up your account as big as possible, because they're not interested in that at all. They're only interested in you creating transactions. That's it. So all the training that was brought down to introducing brokers and eventually analysts and other companies that would indirectly work for the brokers, that was their goal too. To teach you how to do technical analysis, to trade shorter term. Day trading was like the de rigueur thing for a long time. And still to this day, people want to be able to be day traders. They like that instant gratification. And the brokers, they encourage that. They encourage that through the financial talking head networks, trying to get you all hyped up. And through their sell-side analysts who are constantly out there feeding the public with misinformation. Really all designed to just titillate you. That is the broker narrative. To titillate you. Tit-alate. I love that word. I could say it all day. Titillate. Titillate. It's an awesome word. But see, that's what the brokers, that is their big idea. Their big idea is to make you trade as often as possible. And as a result, this is why that 90% of all people end up losing. 70% of people blow up their accounts within 90 days of opening it. That's a fucked up, unbelievable stat. But it's true. I'm talking about futures, basically. I mean, there was a study that was done on futures. But on equities and all markets, 90% of all people don't make any money. Typically, they lose money. Never get ahead. They may make it for a bit, then fall back. So what do the pros do? The people who are making money. Well, they do exactly the opposite of what the brokers suggest that you do. Exactly the opposite. And that's all part of this big idea. And I'm going to talk about it more on subsequent shows this week and why it's so important and how we have kind of folded that idea into the embodiment, the AI, the artificial intelligence, to trade like a pro would want you to trade. Okay, waiting for the big idea at the end of the show, as you said. Well, I've already given you lots of different ideas on what the big idea is. But I'm going to encapsulate it, like I said, not today. Got to keep you hanging on. But I've given you a bunch of big ideas. I give you, man, all these friggin' big ideas. How you doing, Hayseed? Hayseed says, being an old gold bug, it sure is tough right now not to get sucked into headline news only to get monkey hammered. Actually, you spelled it monkey. Is that the French version of monkey? The monkey hammered. Oh, there, you corrected yourself, monkey. Asdert is invoking the name of Tone Vase because he says that the Bitcoin pump hit 6K. Ha 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 ha! You never know, it might. It just might. It's right here behind me. Look at that go! Oh my God! I think Tom Lee said 40K by the end of the year now. Unless he knows something that I don't. That, you know, it's very possible that Tom Lee could be plugged into a set of billionaires recognizing that volatility is low, volume is low, and if they really wanted to, they could artificially pump this up as much as they want. Now, will it be enough to maintain? I don't know. Can they actually move it up that high? I don't know. There have been so many miners, for instance, that have already dropped out of the game. I was watching some videos on these guys. Completely dejected. Just dropping like flies. They just can't afford to mine Bitcoin anymore. So I just don't see it. I just don't see how it can get pumped up like that. It doesn't make any sense, even at 6K. Wall Street is in the business of getting people to churn accounts. Yeah, that's essentially what I've said. That they don't even care if you make money. They don't care if you blow up your account. You know why? Because they're the big casino, and they've got you by the balls, by the figurative balls and the literal balls in some cases. And they know that even if you blow up an account, that you'll be back. Just like you'll be back to gambling, playing online poker, going to the casino. Because you can't, buying scratch tickets, you can't stay away from it. They know you'll be back. And they don't care whether or not you win or lose, as long as you play the game often. Early and often. Jacob is saying that a broker at Iron Beam once told me 90% of retail future traders lose 90% of their money within the first 90 days. The old 90-90-90 rule. 999! Iron Beam. Yes, in retail. Thank you for doing all those corrections for me, Jacob. Frank Run. Grr, another spike. You with volume. It's just a dead cat. Well, you know, when it came down from 6,000 or 4,000, we also had a couple of, you know, pump ups. We had a much bigger one here on December 8th, where it went from 32.50 to 36.50 approximately. That's 400 points. That was big. Now, would we consider this big? This pump? This was just 200 points. Well, I guess if you take it all the way down from the bottom here, from 31.30 to 34.40, or about, I guess that's 300, but that's not really a pump. It started to pump here. All this other stuff was just churn. Some people might call this an upside down or an inverse head and shoulders, right? I think the moon that I don't know. How do I describe the moon? It's kind of like a soy boy. He called this a head and shoulder, which doesn't make sense because head and shoulders are not continuation patterns like this. They're reversal patterns. At least that's what they claim. And so you don't come down and then form a head and shoulder, then go down. That doesn't make sense. You could go down and then make an inverse head and shoulder, then go down. And in fact, did you know that a head and shoulder is almost as likely to be a continuation pattern as it is a reversal pattern? Yeah, that's true. That's why it's so crazy. You know, you see a head and shoulder pattern, and it's like everybody flips out thinking it's automatically going to break that neckline and we're going to make tons of money, when it is almost equally as likely to be a continuation of the previous trend. That is a fact. All right, now Crypto Shill is going to say something totally idiotic. I can tell it already, before even finishing the sentence. I'm noticing a correlation between the S&P and Bitcoin. Short the S&P rally until it hurts. Go long Bitcoin anticipating S&P Christmas rally. All right, so you might see this, but I would ask you to go read Nassim Taleb's book, Fooled by Randomness. There is, as far as I can tell, there is no correlation between Bitcoin and the markets, or anything else, quite frankly. I have a note coming in. Very interesting. That was just some of the darker side of things. T-Bone. No, I'm going to go back to Crypto Shill. I'm telling you. You know, the guys on the Talking Head networks do the exact same thing. Yeah. Now I have more credibility, now that you can see me, right? The talking heads on the financial networks do the exact same thing. They start talking about these correlations. But it's always like within this small period of time, they say, oh, we're noticing a correlation on Bitcoin over these 2 weeks. That's not the way correlations work. Either they're correlated or they're not. If they're correlated just for brief periods of time every so often, that's called a coincidence. It's not called a correlation. You get it? There's a big difference between a coincidence and a correlation. A correlation is an endemic relationship. It's a relationship between the two things that go way deeper than just the price, that it shares a lot of commonality underneath that is causing that correlation. There is zero relationship between crypto and the market. Well, let me think about that. There's probably some things that are in common. Like, so for instance, when the market is down, people aren't looking to Bitcoin saying, oh, market down, epiphany, go to Bitcoin. They don't do that. It's more like, oh, market down, I don't have as much money. Am I going to invest in Bitcoin? Fuck no. So that might cause some correlation. T-Bone says, we put the entire family trust in gold, silver, plus gold, silver stocks. Back in 2001, it's up over 500%, was over 1,000 at one stage. That's fucking awesome, T-Bone. Really. That is really fucking awesome. Tom Lee's new prediction, 10% rally for the S&P by end of year. So now he's moved on from Bitcoin because he's been so fucking wrong that he's now going to tilt his head to talking about the S&P now. I'm Tom Lee. Bitcoin's going to go to 40,000 by the end of the year because I'm a fucktard. And now, because I'm such a fucktard, I'm going to start predicting the markets too. As long as you keep on bringing me on CNBC, I'll keep on tilting my head and spewing bullshit. How you doing, Casper? Hayseed says, electric vehicles or combustion, Ernie. Isn't battery not quite there? God damn it. I'm not sure you understand. You don't understand fuck, Siri. God. Still haven't found a good bot to talk to. So electric vehicles or combustion. Isn't battery not quite there? I would say that is a correct analysis, that batteries just aren't quite there yet. You know, getting close. But lithium, I think, is the wrong way to go. I personally think that a fuel cell would be much more efficient. It's kind of like a battery. It's more like, you know, a way to spontaneously charge up a battery. Or a just-in-time charging of a battery. So I think that we're going to start experimenting more and finding other alternatives to these big-ass lithium batteries, like fuel cells. I think that, but, you know, that would then require us to fill up on some other fuel that would fuel the fuel cells, that would then create the charge that it would then store, that would deliver to the engine. Probably hydrogen is the primary. But storing hydrogen on a car could be fraught with its own problems, so you'd have to figure out how to do it safely. Not the fuel cells are totally safe. Have you ever seen a laptop battery blow up? It's fucking amazing. So James Push, does volume profile analysis work better on Bitcoin than S&P, or it depends on the whole world? No, volume profile is not specific to any particular asset or class at all, because it just tells you the truth about any asset, no matter what it is. You know? I mean, you could be trading tiddlywinks. It will still tell you exactly what's going on. It is just showing you what the supply and demand are, and where whoever's buying it or selling it find value and don't find value. It's as simple as that. So it works on anything. Maximus. Hey, Ernie, Santa Claus Rally still on for this week? I don't know. I really don't know. So far, I've been disappointed by the lack of any kind of rally. I think that we're waiting for the Fed's disposition this week. It's not so much that we're waiting to see if they're going to raise rates, because I think it's a foregone conclusion that they are going to raise rates this year, this month. At least the CME group, the futures market, has it at a very high possibility. As a matter of fact, why don't we look at what that possibility is? That possibility is, if you go to the Fed Watch tool, let's bring that over here. The Fed Watch tool. Let's take the talking head off. Now, it's not as high as I've seen at other times, but there's a 76.6% chance that that they are going to raise rates somewhere between 225 and 250 basis points. But that's their target. So it's not so much that the market is waiting to see whether or not they're going to raise rates. What the market is really waiting for is to see what their outlook is after they've raised rates. You know, now this still leaves a 23% chance that they won't raise rates. That's what I would like to see. Although that could be fraught with its own, and particularly depending on what they said during their outlook, because it's a double-edged sword. You're raising rates because you think the economy is heating up, but then the market says, "Well, fuck, man, you're just raising them too fast, and it's just painful. It's making it hard for us to heat up the market more. We want a hot market." If you lower rates or don't raise rates, then what you're saying is, well, we don't think the economy is strong enough to support higher rates. See, what I don't get is why the Fed thinks that they're so fucking smart that they know better than the collective consciousness of the world or can even understand the complexities of this mammoth market. I think they've proven that they cannot. Just let it go on its own. Let it do what it's going to do. Let market forces figure out fair value. God. You guys. So anyways, they'll if they don't raise rates, then the market will take that as a negative, I think. Either way, we're fucked. Jesus. Jesus! Oh, man, I forgot. I promised somebody I wouldn't use the Lord's name in vain. Is that vanity? Is that vain? What if you don't believe in the Lord? Then what does that do? Are you taking the Lord's name in vain? I mean, could you have just as much have said, I don't know, Santa Claus! Damn! Santa Claus! Just doesn't sound the same. Or, how about Bill Buckner? No, that's close. What else could you say? I don't know. Bill Buckner, that's a, you'd have to be a Boston Red Sox fan for that to make sense. Okay. So we answered James' question about volume profile. We answered Maximus about Santa Claus rally. What are some of the ways to short Bitcoin? James Push follows up with. Well, you can go, first of all, you need a margined account. So you could go to one of the exchanges that offers a margined account, but I wouldn't recommend that because those exchanges are unregulated. And they'll probably end up screwing you. So I wouldn't go to an exchange. I would prefer to go to futures, either the CBOE, which represents 1 Bitcoin, or the CME group, which represents 5 Bitcoin. There, they are regulated markets. You're not going to get any counterparty risk. Your transactions will fill almost immediately, unlike those other places where you might be waiting around for a day or more, depending on what type of commission that you want to spend. Phil says, the worst is when experts start implying that false correlations are in fact causation. Yeah, that's the truth. Logic failure. Such a failure of basic public education. Yeah, except that apparently these talking heads have no financial or public or logic education. Or they had it and they basically skipped that class, apparently. Michael Mack is asking, how would you approach events such as the upcoming Fed meeting where there is an unknown outcome in your trading? I just sit tight and wait for it to happen. What else are you going to do? I mean, I can look at something like the Fed tool that I showed you just a little bit ago. That gives me at least some market predictor on where they think it's going to go. But what I can't predict is what they're going to say. Because they'll always say something to just catch you off guard. Always, it seems. Nick Painter, from a conspiracy corner, we have the tech. It's suppressed. Cabal keeps us in fossil fuels as part of our enslavement. Graphene, supercapacitor, could be one such tech, but I don't know enough on it. BS? Oh, the graphene supercapacitor? I haven't heard much from graphene for a long time. And they have all kinds of other alternative uses for graphene as well? Apparently, it is the most thin, producible thing, human producible thing that you can have, I guess, or something. I don't know. Joe B says, Trump being president, Fed will tighten the market. Yeah, and that's the other thing. It really appears as if the Fed is politicized. I agree with that 100%. Market forces, laughing my ass off. Like bailing out GM, Goldman Sachs. Well, yeah, I agree. That's what I'm saying. If you just let fucking market forces work, then some of those companies wouldn't exist, and we'd probably be better off for it. Leonardo is saying, it's safe. Really, Ernie, it's safe. I have no idea what he's talking about. I'm just assuming that's what he's saying, and that's the inflection that he's using. In his mind, Maxima says, or is asking, what do you mean we're fucked either way? In what sense? Market going down one way or the other regardless of the Fed's rate decision? No, what I'm saying is that you can take their decision-making in either positive or negative depending on your viewpoint and depending on how they present it or how we interpret it. Sometimes the market has a hard time just deciding how to interpret their call. Yeah, so it's the uncertainty that makes us fucked either way. All right, so Phil says, Nick Painter, consider my informal conspiracy theory. He's talking to him, not me. All right, so then I'm not going to talk about what Phil's saying. Then he continues on, but now I don't know if he's talking to Nick or if he's talking to me. Fuck, Phil. Well, he said nothing worth repeating anyways, so there's that. T-Bone. Best return we made was on a beach house. Now he's still living in the past. At 31, the Esplanade Torquay Victoria Aussie, Australia. Grandfather bought it for $37K in 1972. Dad just sold it for $3.5 million. 100-bagger. Aussie property is now crashing. I am so happy for you, T-Bone. Really, I am. Casper is confirming what little I know about graphene, that it is, yes, one atom thin. Thomas Scriptunus. Thomas Scriptunus. Ernie, have you kicked today that plastic man with the Bitcoin head? Oh, Bitcoin Bob. I don't know if I guess he's a kind of plastic. More kind of rubbery. But today I have not kicked his ass yet, but now that you mentioned it, I will go over there and I will kick his ass. Spook is asking or saying, it's really hard to make a graphene without defects in structure. I would imagine so. It's like, David Carradine. If you can walk across this rice paper without leaving a trace, then you know that your footsteps cannot be heard, and you can walk through walls, or something like that. So graphene is kind of like that rice paper that he walks over. Nick Painter is saying, oh, now he's talking to Phil. Talking back to Phil. Fuck. Ern, that was meant for you too. It was? Now you think I'm going to go all the way back and reread it all? Ha! All right. This has been a really good show. And I know that Stav is just hanging on the edge, hoping that I'm going to talk about the big idea. I've already talked about a few big ideas, but not the big idea. I have talked about it before, but I'm going to encapsulate it for you. And this is all coming down to why you should be out there seriously considering, oh, no, all of a sudden all these comments are coming in. What the fuck? Philip Walton Vosberg. You have to say that with a lockjaw. Philip Walton Vosberg. Bitcoin bouncing higher. Is this the start of a risk-on shift that could spill into stocks later this week? Or is it the dead cat bounce or something artificial? It's always something artificial, Phil. Up. AMS 991. Chris Shavako's bullish scenario often uses 94 to 95 comparison, but what industry do we have now to compare with the burgeoning internet industry? In 94-95, that fueled the dot-com rally from 95 to 2000. Well, he compares it to all things in recent history. I don't think that he was trying to make a comparison between dot-com technology burst and now. People were talking about the internet in 94, 95. It didn't come out of nowhere. I can't think of anything that impactful to the economy that comes close today. And you're correct. Because not everybody's talking about Bitcoin. Most people could give 2 fucks about Bitcoin. I could give 4 fucks. Or is it I could not give 4 fucks? Whatever. As many fucks as it takes not to give a shit. That's how many I can give. Hayseed saying, my trading fingers feel like heavy. I'm sitting out 2019 except for the AI setups. Just showing you as I'm saying this. Fuck you, Siri. So the internet of old is like the AI today. And yeah, I would agree with Hayseed. Just, stick with the friggin' AI setups, the artificial intelligence. That's what I should do. I probably don't do that enough. I'm going to start going towards it 100%. James is asking, if I join your volume profile course, can you show me how the S&P long position or Santa rally didn't work as planned? No, it has nothing to do with anything like that. I mean, it doesn't tell you why. It tells you what is. It tells you what the structure, the actual physical and supply-demand structure of the market is. And then from there, you can deduce your own reasons why. But it doesn't tell you why. So I'm sorry. Can't help you there. But it will probably give you the kind of insight where you can make a valid argument as to why. So it's better than someone just blindly telling you why. Or what is. J.R. Browse is saying, stocks are done, dude. Yeah, I don't know. You might be right. Where's Bitcoin? Yep. Nothing happened there, Captain. T-Bone says, follow the CPM group for gold silver price guidelines. Jeff called the bull from 2001 to 2012, told all billionaire clients to sell 2012, called them back in December 2015. They expect record prices in 2021 to 25. All right. Well, now we know how to make millions of dollars. Thank you, T-Bone. Just remember to remind us. Ernie, do you have some next year market meltdown prediction, or it won't happen? No, I don't believe the market's going to melt down. Frank Run, Jordan Belfort calling Bitcoin a scam and recommended marijuana stocks. And Jordan, or otherwise known as the Wolf of Wall Street, has been calling Bitcoin a friggin' scam for a long time because he says he's the king of scammers and he understands exactly what entails a scam. So we should, thank him for being the total dickhead that he was in the past and for that giving us salient advice. Philip Walton Vosberg says, what is bigger concern for stock market China trade dispute, hawkish Fed, Eurobanks, and anti-government social unrest like we've been seeing in Paris with the yellow vest folk? What is a bigger concern for stocks? Other than all that stuff, or you're saying all that stuff is the biggest problem for stocks? I mean, everything's a big problem for stocks. All the time. Every day. Uh-oh. Satoshi Nakamoto has joined the conversation. He's saying Bitcoin going up, 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 up. I had someone this morning pose that Bitcoin or Satoshi could actually be a woman. There you go. Jeff Christian has a 30-year average rate of return. Do you work for Jeff or something? Are you trying to sell us something? Hey, Casper, how you doing? Ernie's a trader, not an accumulator or a stacker, which is why he missed the Bitcoin bubble, marijuana bubble, and will also miss the gold and silver bubble because he only trades and doesn't accumulate. Whatever. Because Casper knows exactly what's in my head. Or recommend accumulating to us. I've talked about an accumulation strategy with Bitcoin. I've also talked about building wealth. So you're fucking wrong again. Again, Casper, wrong. It's like synonymous. Casper, wrong. Casper equals wrong. Bogue Badganoff, Crypto Cobain, accumulated over 5K Bitcoin from the bottom and probably sold to the pump, making $1 to $2 million. He shared screenshots on Twitter, but quickly deleted them. Ah, see, it probably was some kind of scam. That's what I believe. S&P will soon be 2,000. Wow, Satoshi, that is harsh, man. And Vermont's most obese tuba player, we haven't heard from you for a little while. A woman? That's hysterical. Yeah. How could Satoshi be a woman? How could you possibly even pose that, Ernie? Okay, how about this? How about an ugly woman? Kiwi No. I'm assuming Kiwi No is from... Where are you from? Ugh. Anyways, from Kiwi Land? You an All Blacks fan? Any thoughts on the gold-silver ratio, currently at 85-49? Fuck, that's high! Holy shit that gold has been outperforming silver for so long. Can you fucking imagine that? Will it keep on happening? I don't know. What do you want me to say about it? What do you say about it? What is the current rumor? What does the Illuminati say about it? That's what we want to know. Asdirt says, stop the feminism, Ernie. Satoshi was a group, and they printed money for hodling Bitcoin. That was the reason to create Bitcoin. Fuck, sorry. Casper says, fake Casper ruining my name. I've heard that a lot, that BTC or Bitcoin is a banker creation. I don't think so. Banks aren't that smart. Ugly like you. Oh yeah, well same to you, Satoshi. Nah, 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 nah. So you are a woman, huh? Ernie, stop the silliness. Satoshi isn't a person. How do you know? Really, how do you know? And another call for silver going to $1,000 an ounce. And that would be time, a good signal to say adios. I want to thank everybody for showing up. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button. That one. This like button. Leave a comment. And share this video. Really appreciate you showing up. And we're going to be doing another show this evening. Much later at 11 o'clock. That will be the 11 to 11 show. And we'll see you then. Have a great one, guys and gals. And Satoshi. See ya. Oh, see, I'm doing it again. I should, like, go to the right page and put my finger on the button before I say, okay, we're going now. See ya!